Hey there, y'all, and welcome to today's Daily Down and Dirty. My name is Fairlight. Welcome to Airy Fairy Tarot. All right, y'all, the message for today is indecision delays fulfillment. We start out with the Seven of Cups. I think it was upright, yeah. Seven of Hearts, whatever. Seven of Hearts upright and the Strength card reversed. This is where I really got that indecision from. With the Strength card reversed, Seven of Cups, it's like having too many choices to make. But sometimes I feel like this can be indecisiveness anyway. But then with the Strength reversed, it really feels like you are giving your power over to any noun. You know, you could be giving your power over to another person, you could be giving your power over to a job, situation, circumstance. You could even be giving your power over to belief systems that just don't really that aren't really relevant to who you are and where you're at in life. There's a lot of antiquated belief systems that we can go ahead and get rid of those. We don't owe anybody. We don't owe anybody loyalty to play small. Fuck that. So again, it's like that indecision delays. I want to say gratification, but then I want to say fulfillment, because clarifying these two cards, we've got the Nine of Hearts or Nine of Cups, which is about fulfillment. It's about happiness. It's even called a wish fulfillment card at times. Something about this Strength card, though, looking at it upright, and I get a sense of like, I totally relate to this card, because like, she's a mom, she's got to do what she's got to do for her kids. But with that being reversed, it's almost like, are you being accepted to even throw your own children under the bus, or your own inner child under the bus, to say yes to something that isn't right for you, but you need the strength to stand up for yourself and do what you need for you right now. So whether you're providing for kids or whatever this has to do, or this represents your own inner child, it really feels like it's telling you you're delaying your own happiness, and you don't have to. That's the biggest thing I think that wants to be said, is you don't have to. It's just having the courage to say, I don't want to do this, or I don't think this is what's best for me, or if I do this, it's going to, you know, maybe, who knows, you know, if it's compromising your well-being in any way, whether it's financial, whether it's emotional, whatever it is, then don't delay your happiness by standing up for yourself. It really feels like it's you're facing phantoms right now. Then we've got, and it's funny because they look like steps the way the cards felt. They're like this, and then this up here, and then this up here. So we've got the Star reversed, then we've got the Four of Swords, and then we've got the Moon. And it's just funny because the way they all go, it's like this sequential, and then here he is on this step. So it does feel like you're taking steps to alleviate this indecision, maybe. And it makes me think of like one of my favorite books ever is called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. It was written in the 80s, but it's such a wonderful book. And one of the affirmations that she has you say is, I'm a decisive person. And so, and look in the mirror, I'm a decisive person. I'm a decisive person. I'm a decisive person. Say it over and over again until you believe it. And then decide what it is that you really want. Something with the Star card, again, it feels more like delays. You know, preceding the Star is the Tower card, and then, you know, then the Star comes after, and it's the healing. And so, the Tower card, did I say that? Oh no, I had a gummy. But the Tower is about illusions falling, and sometimes it's pretty devastating when our illusions fall, when reality falls apart. And sometimes it's not just an illusory thing, it just means that we're done with that timeline, and now it's time for that timeline to go away so that we can start, you know, cultivating the new timeline. And so with that Star card reversed, and I noticed when I looked at it just now that there's snow on it, there's like icicles dripping. So it's almost like you're frozen. Again, it feels like some sort of a fear. You're frozen in fear to cultivate a brand new beginning. But I think you also, part of this fear is like in witnessing the old timelines unraveling. and you maybe you're just trying to hold it together, but it's just not going to stay together. That timeline is done. It's served its purpose. Then we've got this Four of Swords, and underneath that we've got the King of Earth, King of Pentacles, and then underneath that we've got the Jack of Hearts, or the Knight of Cups. It feels like, oh dang, and underneath that we've got the Empress. I'm gonna take it, dang, all these cards. I didn't want to do a long one today, but we've got the Empress and the Ace of Swords underneath that as well. So this is about valuing yourself, this whole thing, and indecision, somehow your indecision is based in self-worth. So, get a journal and start writing about whatever indecision you're facing and reclaim your self-worth from that and choose what is really reflective of your truth as the Empress. The Empress is not going to settle. The Empress isn't codependent. The Empress isn't going to be like, oh, yeah, but if I do this thing, it's going to make so-and-so mad, or, you know what I mean? No, she's a motherfucking Empress. She's, I'm going to do this thing. And because she's honest, she's committed to her truth. And so that's something that we kind of lose when we give our power away to fear, or, to a situation, to a belief, to a person. When we give our power away, we lose our honesty. We lose connection with opportunities to speak truth, even if it's not a truth that's going to make the other person happy. But if it is your truth, then it's your truth. And my brain is trying to go into all these different nuances and whatever, but let's keep it pretty general. Empress is committed to the truth. And so I like that, then with that, we've got this Knight of Cups. And I love these two birds together. These are two of my favorite birds. I just love birds, but there is something about valuing yourself enough. And you see how this king is looking over at this knight. And this is the King of Earth. He really values himself. And he doesn't commit to something unless it's something he really wants to commit to. I really like that king. I love Earth energies. I love all the energies. But I like that he's like looking at, committing to what's fulfilling for him, committing to what makes his heart sing, whether it's, say you've got a choice. I know originally the Lover's card used to have three people, and it was a man trying to decide between an older woman and a younger woman. And kind of the lore behind the card was that he wanted the older woman for the stability, but he wanted the younger woman for the passion. And not to say you can't have passion with an older woman. No, but it was a choice to be made, and I would say maybe it's neither of them. Maybe he needs to choose himself. And if it is either of them, then he should go for the one that he really wants, whichever one that is. And I think that's this King of Pentacles. It feels like always saying slow down. Be patient. And then with that, you've got the Four of Swords, which says slow down. Slow down, rest, meditate, just think of all things, because it feels like maybe you're reeling from something that's happening in your life or something that just happened. And this indecision, you don't have the clarity, you don't have the strength, because maybe you're making choices out of a sense of panic, a sense of trauma, a sense of lack, a sense of desperation. So don't make a desperate choice. Be the Empress and really speak to your truth, really stand in your truth. And underneath that too, we've got the Justice card. So got some major arcanas out today for sure. Really choose what's going to be fulfilling for your heart. Then we've got the Moon card, and of course the moon would come out today. There's an eclipse today. So of course the moon came out. But the moon is about, shining light into the shadows, looking deeply into what's been lying in the dark, what's been hidden from you. And with that eclipse, it's also maybe when you're honest with yourself and you have that recognition of what's been in the shadows, and then you get to evaluate for yourself. I want to go into that word evaluation. Evaluating what you want most and what you don't want most, but then also seeing why it's creating such an indecision, and then clarifying further on, what do I want most, what do I want most? And sometimes what I want most is to pay the bills, and so other things that I want most come secondary. And you always find a way, right? But so it's like, what do I want most? Sometimes it does take it to that level, and don't be afraid to go to that level and say, but that doesn't mean I have to give up on my healing. It doesn't mean I have to be frozen in not even thinking that I can pursue what it is that I truly want, that really truly would be fulfilling. So I'm not saying, just completely cut your life up and just start over, although you can if you want to. And if it's not that big of a risk, or if you want to try that, sometimes going full throttle has great rewards to it. It's a gamble. Life can be a gamble, and you can play it safe, or you can choose whatever it is that you want. First, it's in identifying, what's most important to me. And I love that with this moon card, we've got the 5 of Swords reversed. And so, 5 of Swords is my gaslighting card. But when it's reversed, it feels like it's more like an internalized dialogue of gaslighting yourself. And so how do you get completely honest with yourself? And how do you truly value what it is that you want in life? When you're constantly gaslighting yourself, telling yourself that you're not worthy of it, or that you're selfish if that's what you want, or any number of things, or you'll never be successful, or mom and dad will be mad, or whatever it is, whatever the dialogue is. So it's a good opportunity, especially because it is a full moon in Pisces, to get clear on your dreams, on your goals. What is it that you wish for? What establishes connection? And really, I kind of just want to stop it at that, not stop the reading, but just stop there and focus on that. What is it that aligns you with your greatest connection to yourself, to your source, to your ancestors, to the earth, to community, to friends, to family, whatever it is? But what do you feel, what gives you that sense of connection? If you're a musician, then music conveys such a connection to where people don't understand, people that don't play music don't always understand why music can become such an obsession, or painting, any kind of art. But going to nature is one of my obsessions. It doesn't matter. It's just about where do you find that connection. And then I really feel like journaling would be really important right now. I love that there's a rainbow on there. Really shining a light into your beliefs and that inner dialogue. And sometimes if you can just catch what you're thinking, and maybe play a game with yourself, like, I'm going to identify something I know that I clearly want, something that I know definitely conveys a sense of connection for me, and write it down, and then start making decisions to go towards it. And the witness, is there a dialogue that comes up to sabotage that? Is there a dialogue that comes up to make you not believe for one reason or another? Is there an inner child crying out? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, well, I'm not, but so I think it's all synchronicity. It's all divine. So then it's so funny. This is one of the newest decks that I received recently. It was a mysterious gift. Someone came up. I was looking at cards, or maybe I was doing a reading, I don't know. I never even saw his face, but he set this deck down on the table and walked out of the shop. So thank you, man of mystery, for my new deck. So I'm still getting to know these cards, and there is a joker. There's a joker in this deck, and that's what wanted to come out and be part of the reading. I'm gonna leave this joker in the deck. What I hear is the Joker's wild. So it's like whatever you want it to be. It's like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The meaning of life is the number 42, and it turns out number 42 stands for whatever you want it to be. So this is kind of whatever you want it to be. He reminds me of the Magician because he's got cards from all suits, which represent all the elements. Hearts is water, spades is air. what are they? Not their clubs is fire. Oh no, clubs is down here. Clubs is fire. Sorry, I can't see. And then diamonds is earth. So it's kind of a magician kind of an energy, almost like a trickster, almost a Loki kind of an energy, where I think it's in that being a decisive person. I think it's giving yourself permission to not be rigidly defined. Like, you can know what it is that you want, but there can be a number of ways to go after it. Like, there's so many mediums for art. There's so many different ways. Even if you wanted to be a performing musician, there's so many ways you can go into that. You know, you can try to hit festivals, but I might go sing at nursing homes. Like, you just never know. You can be open to any and all of it, or, you know, pick up a guitar and go sing on the street and do a little busking. And so it's like there's innumerable ways that you can combine the elements and create your magic with it. So it feels like, you know, you can have a strong sense of purpose and passion, but if you're too rigidly attached to the outcome or too rigidly attached to what it looks like, you might be missing out on, you know, much greater opportunities or a lot of fun. You might be missing out on a whole lot of experiences that would really be beneficial just to your present moment. That would just be beneficial to you being a living being, having a life on earth as a human, wanting to do something that you want to do. So, you know, it feels like really loosen up, allow for greater freedom, be more adaptable right now, and then also identify the self-sabotage, identify the low self-worth talk, and then heal it, work on healing it. And, you know, it could be a lifelong journey, but, you know, at least you started now, and I definitely guarantee that you'll see progress. And one thing about journaling too, another thing about journaling, is that you are documenting your progress. So put a date on there, and sometimes you'll find old journals from years ago and say, oh wow, that was pretty cool, that was pretty inspiring back then, or oh wow, I wrote that down and I achieved it. And you get to give yourself some accolades, whatever it is. All right, that's all I have for today. Once again, my name is Fairlight. Thank you so much for watching. Peace and love until next time.